name is Lyubov Zalybovska, and I am the head of education and Go Global and academic director of GoCamp Training Center. So, and today we will talk about things which distract our learners. But before that, I see there are quite a lot of us. So, and I wanted just to have a short warm up. So like, I want to see where you are all from. So therefore I prepared a Padlet board. Let me share my screen and I'll show you what to do. But in the chat box right now, you will see the link to the Padlet board. And I share my screen to show you what to do. Here we go. Okay. So here you see, so I want you to tell us where you're from. So to do this, so you need to do a very simple thing. You just press the plus button. So, and here I usually use option 1. So you need to write down the location where you are from. For example, now I am in Vyshgorod, which is in Kyiv region. So Padlet understands all languages, Russian, Ukrainian, English. And I write, here I am. So that's me. Or I'd better write Luba is here. Okay, that's perfect. That's it. So, and that's actually it. So let's see. Okay, I see the map already. Great. Make it bigger. Okay, so many of us. And here I can also open a list. Okay, you see. So to see the geography of our today's meeting. So Kharkiv, Odessa, Cherkasy, Kyiv, Kryvyi Rih, Kagarlik. So Dnipro, Obukhiev, Trebuchev. So Kyiv region, a lot of Kyiv region here. Okay. So, anyone else? So, hey, who uses annotations? So I'm sorry, but I have to clear this. Do clear all drawings. Great. So. Okay. Okay, and thank you for, so here you also write in chat where you're from Stry, Chernigiv, Pokrov, Berezань, great. So many of us from so many places of Ukraine. Fantastic. Vishneva Dnipropetrovsk region. Okay, I know at least 3 Vishneva. So I know Vishneva here near Kyiv. On my way to my parents to Kirovograd region, so in Poltava region, there is a place called Vishneva. And now I know that in Dnipro region, the Dnipropetrovsk region, there is also there is Vishneva. Perfect. Okay. Great. Thanks a lot for your for being so active and showing us where you're from. Great. Okay. So, and now let's actually begin. So let me first tell you that our today's session will consist of 2 parts. So I'll have around 10 minutes to tell you about GoCamp as a training center. Then we will talk about things which distract our kids in the lesson. And I will focus more on younger kids, like young learners and young younger teenagers. So because already in 2 weeks, so we'll talk a lot about teenagers, about elder students, so, and therefore, so you are more than welcome to join us up. So first of all, so here, GoCamp Training Center, what it is and why we are actually doing this. So this is our social internship. What that means? It means that every single hryvnia that we earn here in our GoCamp Training Center, we reinvest in GoCamp. So I know that there are a lot of you from from all over Ukraine, so who have already participated in GoCamp, so and had a chance to welcome international volunteers at their places. So for the project to live on, so we decided to start a project which an internship, so which would let us actually support GoCamp. So how do we do GoCamp? So you know us, so we are really interactive in terms of our formats, and I here underline that GoCamp as a training center offers only interactive camps or interactive programs. So if you think that you can sign up for our program and just listen to us and cook borscht, or listen to us and do something else, you're greatly mistaken. So because what we do through action, we learn through action. So and people who have already participated in 2 of our programs, so they were not just idly sitting listening to our trainers. They were actively involved in various kinds of activities. So what else I want to tell you, that GoCamp is a total language immersion. So that means that all our programs are in the English language, and we also invite our volunteers from around the world who are teachers of English and of other subjects, so who can share their insights, their ideas, their tips of how they deal with their learners in their own countries. For example, at the previous program, we had a fantastic young teacher from Lithuania who shared with us how they teach online and about their online teaching experience and regulations from above. And actually, that was a rather interesting conversation, because we could share how it happens in Ukraine, how that happens in Lithuania. So we also invite only professional trainers, so who will equip you with loads of practical ideas for your regular classes, both online and offline. So it is very important for us to give you the knowledge which you can use straight away. So when I start our GoCamp programs, and they happen only at weekends, so I say that after this, so when you come back to your classes on Monday, so you will already be able to use some of the tricks we will teach you at the program. So absolutely practical stuff, but at the same time, so we do give you some theoretical background, but not in a dull lecture-like way, in an interactive way, so where you can understand and peep into your learner's brain, so to understand how they think and what drives them and what drives their behavior, in order to understand how to deal with that. So I'll tell you a little bit about the program, which will start on the 19th already. So that means not this, but next Friday. So here we go. So here, the next program is where we will talk about motivating teenagers. And here we'll have we'll work for 3 days. So on day 1, in the afternoon, so we will start at almost at 4 o'clock. So we'll talk generally about motivation, and I'll also talk to you about NLP and what it is, and how using NLP we can see things from an absolutely different angle. And also, this is something we already talk a lot in ELT for a long time, but we just do not call it just that way. So on day 2, so we will have a block where you will actually peep inside your teenage brain. So, and you will understand how teenagers think. So, because it is crucially important for us to understand how our learners think and what they what their interests are, so what drive their behavior, in order to deal correctly with them, in order to have the best result possible. And after that, so there will so the morning block will be followed by an absolutely practical afternoon block and Sunday morning session, so where we'll give you loads of practical ideas in terms of teaching English to teenagers. So this will be a 10-hour course, so which will consist of 10 hours online. But again, so I underline that it is very much important to understand that it is crucially important for you to participate, because we do not preach you, we do not lecture you, so we involve you into active learning process just online. So the same which happens at our offline training sessions. So plus to our individual post-program activity. So actually, if we talk about the price for the program, so the whole program, participation in the whole program, a 12-hour course, so will cost you 990 hryvnias. So it is not necessarily so to do the whole program. So the program is logically divided into 4 parts, and you can actually visit 1, 2, 3 parts which you choose. So if you're interested only in day 1 program and for example day 2 but second part, afternoon part, so you can just purchase only those 2 blocks. So each of the block costs only 250 hryvnias. So, and one thing I wanted to show you, so is our website. So this is where you can sign up, apply to GoCamp Training Center. Just let me show you how that happens. So here, please give me some sign that you see. Do you see the so the GoCamps.com.ua part, right? So use the chat box to answer me. So do you see the site? Okay, good. So you see the site. That's great. Okay, great. So you see the site, that's fantastic. So this is how our web page for GoCamp Training Center looks like. So you can read here something about what we offer, etc., etc. Probably the most important part for you will be this part. So the next part will be about teaching teenagers. Here where you can register, actually you can press any register button here, so it will lead you to the same questionnaire. So, but which is important here at the program part, you will be able to open the timetable for the next session as well as the full program. Here it's downloading. The internet is sometimes very slow and there are really lots of us, or almost 350 teachers here. Fantastic. So, and this is actually not, so this is something I added here, but this is not the full program, so I will renew it because at this, so here I downloaded in the morning a little bit different version. There's also was a timetable. I'll renew it so with the names of the sessions. So actually something similar to this part, something similar to these. So the schedule with this topic. So I will add it up after our session. So you will be able to see it. So actually, if you are interested, you can register. So you can press any reєстрація or зареєструватися button. So, and you will be directed to a questionnaire, which you will need to complete. And our manager, Alona, who is here with us, will contact you and will answer all your questions and will tell you what your next steps are going to be. So actually, this is all I wanted to tell you. Sorry. This is all I wanted to tell you in terms of our training center for now. Also, something I wanted to mention that when you were registering, so a lot of you were asking questions, so whether you will receive certificates for today's session. So you will receive if you do two simple things. First, you stay till the end of this presentation of this session, because at the end of the session, we'll share a link to the Google form in which you will apply for a certificate. In this Google form, you will need to say your name, surname correctly. So we will include it in the certificate. And also you will need to answer a very simple question. So if you have visited, if you have listened to me, so you will be able to answer these questions so within 2-3 minutes. So that won't be a very big deal. And that's what you will need to do. And after that, Alona will prepare certificates for you and will send them to you within the 2 weeks after today. So that's so within some time after you complete and send us your send us the field form. So with your name, surname, and the answer for the short task. Again, so you need to do 2 things. Wait, so you need to listen to me till the very end and also complete the form and answer the question there. I hope that's all right with you. So that's why our plan for the, so great. So let's again do the following thing. So I understand that you might have some questions. So after we finish today, so I will give you some space for asking me questions, okay? Good. So today, the session is called the attraction of distraction. So what are we going to talk about? So we'll talk about things which distract our learners at the classroom. So we'll talk about things on, so I actually took lots of slides from our program, which we have already done to show what kind of contact we show during our programs and during our sessions. So, and again, so as this presentation was prepared by my trainer, so I will spice it up with my own ideas and know-hows. So, and the first thing which I want you to think about right now, can you please use the chat to write down, so what actually distracts people, kids in the classroom? Gulnara, I see that you are trying to write to me something, but you distract me. So this is the topic of our today's presentation. So what can distract me? I will use you as an example, okay? So, okay, phones, lack of interest. Okay, good, yes. Gadgets, mobiles. Friends, okay, classmates, other students, laptops, great. Communication with each other, for example, like me and Gulnara right now. Gulnara trying me to say something and I'm just being distracted and not paying full attention to what's going on. Laziness, okay. Laziness, health, great. Being bored from studying, great. No motivation, distracts. Lack of motivation. So friends and mobile phones. No motivation. Okay, I see that the answers, teacher's bright clothes, great. Might distract and might attract. So these are 2 sides of one medal, by the way. Bad memory. Okay, good. Mobile phones. Screen. Fantastic answer. It really distracts. But so good, phones. Again, so you answer a lot. Phones, like weather, sunny days. Great. So, you know, when I was Googling pictures for this slide, so there were a lot of pictures like this, like, you see? so I love this weapons of mass distraction, like all the social media our kids are in. Just one thing that the social media mentioned here, so they are not the social media our kids actually use, because there is no TikTok, no Likey, no Instagram, and even Instagram is a little bit outdated for the kids of especially for younger kids, for teenagers, so they're not even on Instagram. So like if we talk about teenagers, so that's probably more like this. They're all in their so you can see the presentation. Sorry, why are you not saying this to me? Yeah, that's great. Now this. So they're all in smartphones, they all with their devices, that's it. So, and actually here, when I ask you what distracts kids in the classroom, so you say phones. So a lot of you, most of you actually answered phones. But actually this is not the only thing. So I found such a picture. Yes, so, and I just want to, and I just included in here to show that actually various things might distract us in the classroom. So, and that depends on the person. And so anything around us can distract, especially when we talk about younger kids. So people just going outside, insects around, so a bright picture, something happening behind the door, or a sound behind the door. So anything around us actually can distract. There are not only external sources of distraction. So you also mentioned, for example, lack of motivation, things like that. So here we also need to talk about internal sources of distraction. So the thoughts that occupy our minds. For example, we can think about something important. For example, when something important is happening and we are in the classroom, so things might and there are problems in the family, or someone is ill, for example. So third thoughts can distract a lot. Also we can think about things which we should not forget to do. For example, after the classes we need to go and do something, and we might think about this, and this distracts. So frustration, anger, fear, whatever, so conversations, noise around, so whatever around us might distract our learners from being with us. Can COVID be a distraction? A very interesting question. So if someone is ill with COVID, yes, it might be. So for example, now I have a person I know quite well who is a class teacher of my sister. So she's ill with COVID. And I actually am constantly thinking about her right now. So because I know her as a person and I know how my sister is attracted to her. So, and things like that, they sure can distract from whatever we are doing. And this is true for everybody. So not only about younger learners or children, students, it is true for adults as well. So we will now see how different distraction attraction works for children and adults, just in a slide or two. So good. So let's move to the next slide. Here. So what causes distraction? So, and there are actually three things which are crucial factors for distraction and attention as well. So distraction is strongly influenced by these three factors. So they are influenced by the task itself, meaning whether it is difficult or easy to do. So, and we will see how different it works for different age groups. So by what is distracting us, our senses? So is this a picture or is this a sound, so which distracts, or both? So, and also by age. So older people are much more in control and can focus much better than younger kids. So, and that actually influences a lot how distracted we get in various situations. So let's have a look at this slide. Again, so I'll repeat that research says that we are distracted. So that distraction is influenced by three factors. So by the task, whether it is difficult or easy, by what is distracting us, whether it's something visual, something we see with our eyes, or something auditory, something we hear, or something multisensory, so meaning we hear and see, and probably something kinesthetic when someone comes up and pat us at the shoulder. So it also might be a distraction, and also by age. And for example, when, as we see here, the picture, kids are reading a book, right? So how easy is it to distract these kids? So on this, so this depends on whether the task is simple or difficult. So whether the cause of distraction, so when we read a book, the task is visual. So if the distraction is visual or auditory, it also influences. I will show you now how. And also how old the readers are. The more older the readers, the more they can focus on their task. So the more difficult it is to distract them. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide to see how various distractors actually influence us in different ages. So here, look at this question. So look at this slide. So here you see that, so what happens when distraction is visual? For example, you tell your students to do something which they need to use their eyes for. For example, they need to read a passage and do an activity, or tick the correct answer. So they do a reading activity, for example, or they have to look at the picture and answer some questions. So they need to use their eyes. So what happens when they, so how easy it is to get them distracted? So Lyubov is asking whether it depends on personality, the concentration. Actually depends, because some people just get distracted easier. So then some other people, so probably a little bit yes, but mostly again, so this can be explained by these three factors. Okay, let me just finish with this and then we can speculate on the other questions a little bit further, okay? So again, so what happens when the distractor is visual? Here, to understand this table, you need to understand what these distraction intervals mean. So this shows the time it takes for a learner to respond to the task. For example, to answer a question, read the passage and answer the question. So, and we see here then when younger learners, for example, 6-year-olds, when they do an activity and they get distracted by something visual, for example, their phone flashes, or someone comes into the classroom, or they notice a picture in their neighbor's phone or book or something. So the distraction is visual. So when they do an easy task, they can get distracted really, really easily. So it takes that, you see that it takes 350 milliseconds to do the task. It means that they, so while doing the easy task, they were probably distracted by something. So on the other hand, have a look, when they are doing a difficult task, it is rather difficult to distract them with something visual. Interesting, isn't it? Why does it happen so? So because if kids know that the task is challenging, the effort to focus on the task is bigger. It means it is more difficult to get them distracted. So almost the same situation is for teenagers. So teenagers or younger teenagers, so they still do not have this sense of control. So, therefore, again, so when they do an easy task, so they understand that's easy. It's very easy to distract them with something visual. So, but again, so when the task is difficult and they understand that the task is difficult, it is much more difficult for them to get distracted by something visual. So, and as for adults, you see that visual distractors, again, so might a little be more difficult for adults to concentrate when they do an easy task. But anyway, so adults show much more control, and their effort to focus on the task, no matter whether it's difficult or easy, it's much stronger. So just because we have more self-control. So it is very much important. You were talking again, so this weekend, we were talking about teenagers, and we talked a lot about teaching teenagers or younger teenagers self-control, because the quicker we teach them to master this, so the quicker they go to the more mature stage of teenage, their teenage. So again, this is what happens when the distraction is visual. So let's have a look what happens when they are doing a task and something auditory distract them. For example, a phone call or noise of construction outside the window, or so again, so not only technology can distract, anything in the classroom and beyond the classroom can distract our learners. So do not narrow down to technology only, okay? So I know that technology distracts a lot, so, but this is not the only thing. So it means that even if you take their phones away from them and put them aside, that doesn't mean that they won't be distracted. It doesn't mean that you do not need to understand how that works and how to deal with these things. Okay, so so this what happens when the distraction is auditory. So they do something, and here comes some sounds around them from whatever source. Doesn't matter what that's technology. For example, their phone ringing, music playing, construction outside, people chopping, I don't know, trees, workers doing something outside, people going by and making noise when they step, so whatever. So we see that everyone, so in the research, was distracted similarly during both these tasks, both easy and difficult tasks. Again, adults show a little bit more control. So, but again, so they can control better, and it does, so kids can control a little bit better themselves, but they, again, so it doesn't matter, so whether the task is easy or difficult. Really, it depends on the age of the children. So the older the children, the more control they get. And again, so the peculiarity of young learners, like 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds, so they are, they have their innate curiosity. Actually, an insect which is on the desk, so can actually distract them. Anything around can distract them, because they can actually get, so this is something they naturally do, so they are attracted to everything around them. We'll talk about teaching them. So some of the things are actually, we need just to understand that happens, and we need to understand, not to teach them, we need to understand how to deal with them and probably how to get their attention. And also, yes, we were discussing this weekend how we can teach self-control and what can help us to teach teenagers control themselves. So, but let's move on, because the next source of distraction is multisensory. It means it involved both auditory and visual senses. So, and this what happens. You see, again, when the kids are very young, anything multisensory, for example, again, technology, yes, phone not only flashing, not only reading, but flashing and reading at the same time. So, or probably a person comes up and starts talking. So it's also visual and auditory. So something they hear and see at the same time. So again, when the task is easy, so they understand that it's easy to do it. So they can get distracted really easily. So anything around them, so they're distracted. When the task is difficult, it is really much more, okay, yeah, so again, Ola, thank you. So it distracts really good. See, and what distracts here? Here it's visual distraction. So because it flashes and you get distracted to see what's there. So, and when the task is difficult, you just need to understand. So why it's important for the kids to give them also challenging tasks, because they actually understand that they need to apply much more focus on doing this activity. So, and it's much more difficult to distract them. So the more focused they are, the more difficult it is to distract them. So let's have a look. So what happens when these are 11-year-olds, for example, teenagers? So again, here they are distracted easier, they lack control, they are full of emotion. So this is very emotional age. Emotions overflow them, so it's quite easy to distract them. And again, adults show most control, though they are distracted by multisensory distractors easier than by unisensory distractors, like only audio, only visual. So actually, I want to say that actually, again, so see, so you comment and I get distracted. So learners do interactive and easy tasks. Yeah, they do them. So, so I do not say they do not cope with them. So I mean that it takes, for example, if they, so one difficult task they can do quicker in this respect than one easy task. So it might take them, so though it is easy for them to do the task, so if something distracts them, it takes them longer. So they tend to get distracted easier when they do an easy task. So to say, it doesn't mean that that happens all the time. So it's just easier to do this. So let's have a look at this slide. So here, let me just, you will read, I will give you the time to read it further. Just listen to my explanation first. So for example, you give your learners a visual task. For example, reading a book, or reading a passage, or reading a comics, if that's primary, or they need to look at the picture and write as many words as they can see. So it's a visual task. So if the distractor is visual, meaning the same as the activity, so it distracts only when the task is easy. So visual distractor in this respect can distract only when the task is easy. When the task is difficult, you won't get distracted. And this happens at all ages. So if distractions involve a different sense, meaning like they read a book, but they hear something, so so it can distract us regardless whether the task is hard or easy. So, and if the distractors involve multiple senses at the same time, so something visual and auditory distracts us at the same time. So for example, we see a video, we see something and hear something at the same time. So it distracts us no matter how old we are and when the task is easy. So when the task is hard, our age influences our distraction. So for those who will complete the form, we'll send some slides so for you to have this information with you. Does it mean we should have more difficult tasks for children? No, it doesn't mean that. I just mean that when they do a difficult task, they focus more. So, and means it's more difficult to distract them. So when they do an easy task for them, again, so an easy task for one child might be a difficult task for another child. So it is very personal and very subjective. Therefore, I wouldn't say it this way. I just say again, so I just say that if kids do the task which they assume as easy, it is much more easier to get them distracted. So that's what I actually mean. But now let's have a look at what signs of low concentration are, and then we will have a look at what we can do about them and how we can deal with various distractors, or how can we regain our kids' focus. Okay, let's do it this way. So, signs of low concentration. So if you see that a child isn't interested, it is not a distractor. It is a sign that the child doesn't have, isn't concentrated, isn't focused on the task enough. So motivation, it's more like a symptom than a source of the problem. So when they doodle something, or when they daydream, or when they, for example, when they do not follow instructions, so when they not able to get organized, so these are the signs. This is how you say, oh my gosh, I need to do something. So the kids cannot concentrate. Probably I need to do something about this. So what you can do about this, we'll talk a little bit later in several slides. Okay, so this is something you need to think about when you see these slides. So now let's actually talk a little bit about factors which affect learners' concentration. So there are actually a variety of factors which affect student concentration in the classroom, but roughly we can divide them into two groups. So one group is manageable factors, something we as teacher can manage academically with the help of classroom management and activities. And some are unmanageable. It doesn't mean that we cannot do anything about those. It just means that they do not depend on us personally. So these unmanageable factors depend on something external. Okay, for example, so let's have a look at what manageable and unmanageable factors are. So we talk about manageable factors, for example, classroom noise level. This is something I can deal with if I use some strategies. We'll talk about these strategies like attention getters. So student behavior. Knowing what causes this behavior, knowing the psychology and so understanding how their neurons work and what's inside their brain, I can actually deal with student behavior. So using the correct words, things like this. So we again talk a lot about this, so how to deal with these things. And that's why I actually want to talk about NLP next time, because the way we put things, the way we say things, so actually influence how these things are read and accepted by the learners and everyone around us. And we can use this effectively for English language teaching. So, and also electronic devices. So this is something we can manage. So, and something we can deal with. So again, about electronic devices, we can either ban them or use them. So there are two ways of dealing with them. So I am somewhere in between. I say that technology is good for teaching. It is really good for teaching. It offers lots of opportunities, but at the same time, it should be used very rationally, and you need to understand very clearly why you use this, what the results should be, and you need to manage this very carefully. So what are unmanageable factors? Student fatigue, for example, hunger, fatigue, like they're tired. So can you do something about this? So probably so, but actually you can also only give them a rest. But if you have, like a plan to do, you need to teach them something. So what to do if they feel hunger, thirst, again, so you probably can't feed them right away. You can actually give them water to drink, so things like that. But again, this is an external factor. So external noise, for example, noise of construction outside, or something physical, like something they have pain somewhere, things like that. So this is something you can control, or some personal internal issues. For example, they're angry with something and they're frustrated, so they're vice versa, they're overexcited about something and they can't concentrate on anything because something great happened and their parents told them, or their friends shared something with them, or they saw something extra exciting. So can you actually deal with this? So the emotional issues, again, so there are some things you can do, but actually this is something you cannot fully manage, and you need to understand that allowing some level of distraction in the classroom, that's okay. So understanding that your learners get distracted, this is okay, this is an absolutely okay process. And just what you need to do again is to understand what you can do. So Adri says that sometimes he allows his students to eat at the lessons, and that's absolutely okay. I would also do absolutely same thing. They want to drink, then drink. You want to eat. But probably so just. Again, so that a lot depends on very, like specific situations of your schools, kids, things like that. So that's why this is very subjective. We cannot discuss every point as something general. So, but again, so knowing your learners, so is the crucial fact of understanding how to behave with them, and which strategy and which thing will work exactly for them. Okay, this is very, very much important. So again, what to do if the class's attention so is not with you, if it is somewhere else. So starting off strong. So it means that you can start strong every day by establishing clear routine. So again, so we have been talking a lot for both for young learners and teenagers, how important it is to have some classroom routines, so which are followed every day, every class, and also expectations from the very beginning. So like the classical way to teach lesson planning. So when you do a warm up, then actually tell and lead in, you need to tell about the objectives for the lesson and what the learners are going to achieve by the end. This is very, very much important for the students of all ages, actually, to state clearly that today we will do this, and that. You can manage these different ways for your learners understand that we will do this for 5 minutes and this for 15 minutes. So, and these expectations will actually help you to keep your learners' concentration a little bit better. Again, so different things might happen. So, and the idea is that you probably will need to try out various things to understand what will work for your students personally. Some things, because there are some strategies teachers like, some teachers do not like. Something works for some kids, something doesn't work for them. other things work for other cats, and you will need to experiment to find, you know, like a tailor-made solution. So I think that the drinking and eating topic is very much active in the chat room right now. Okay, good. So you need to get class's attention and then hold the class's attention. So with the help of various techniques, some of which I'm going to share with you right away. So the first technique I'd like to share with you is using a timer. So now let's use the chat box for answering my question now. Okay, so do you use timers at your lessons? Sure. Okay, good. So do you create these timers on yourself? Probably. So those who do not use, I just want to show, for example, it is not necessary to, timers can be creative. And it is actually not necessary to create a timer on your own. You could just go on YouTube and find loads of timers which already made for you and you can use them. So this is one of the timers here, and if I share, I don't know whether you hear the sound or not, but I will be able to, I will share. Yeah. Okay, start and then it goes start, but this is an hour timer. Here you can find the timers for different periods of time. They're ready made already, and I can teach starter videos, can share them with you here. Probably you will like them and you will use them. So for example, here are timers for 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and they are different. For example, here a 1 minute timer. Let me show you. Like this. And then disco dancing. And then silence, because during this 1 minute, so the timer works. When timer works, so they are busy with something, we do not distract them. So, and when the timer is closer till the end, again, music appears and then stop. So things like that. So time warp. Time's up, yes, so good. So I've shared the link with you. You also can use not only timers, but stopwatch. And again, so this is one of the stopwatches I found here on YouTube. Stopwatch is good because it triggers competition, and competition triggers motivation, like inner motivation, because when we compete, so this is a chance to show our mastery that we can do something, and also the ownership, autonomy thing that we are in control, so everything depends on us. So, and you can use stopwatch as well. If you want me to share this stopwatch with you, so here you are, so you can save this link for yourselves. So this is something, so now we will move on. So this is one of the techniques you might use using timers and stopwatches, because this helps to concentrate. They know, okay, so this is the period of time they work, and then the work's up, so, and I can look, so the job's done and I can look somewhere else, so I can look aside, so, and it keeps your learners to get more focused on the activity while the timer is working. So this is just one of the strategies. Another strategy I do believe you all use call and response things like class, yes, things like this. So you can use like what I found this just show you which exist. So you all know this, like crystal clear, what's up, it's all good. So, or stop, collaborate and listen, piece of pie, piece of cake. So here's lots of interesting call and response things again. So I will share this with you here in the chat box. You know many of them. So you know loads of these things. So, but kids get used to one and the same thing. So, and as a teacher, I always look for something new to use with my learners. So, because if you use one and the same call and response, then they can just get used and just stop paying attention. So, but when you actually use various, and very important thing, that you can actually agree on learners on what attention getters to use from time to time. So, for example, you can word that now we will use one call and response, and tomorrow we'll use another call and response. So a kind of call and response, but a little bit different. So it's completely compound word. For example, you say, for example, pop, they say corn. So together, popcorn. You say cheesecake, or like pineapple. So yes, class, yes, things like that. So we use them often. So, and we use them during training, but this is one of many. So, and you may choose any, and you may try out many various things like that. So, and you will, so your learners might like some more than others, and it's better to use those who they like more. So musical transition. So if you play a musical instrument and you have a musical instrument, so you can play it, but you use various kinds of things which just make noise to draw your learner's attention, and that will work again as well. So you can, it's better to use various attention getters with your learners, because again, learners get used to attention getters. And that's one of the problems. They get used to attention getters. So, and if you like musical transitions, so use various musical transitions. So change them from time to time. So because learners get used to that and just will stop paying attention. So you may use, for example, what some teachers use, and I sometimes use during sessions with teachers. So when I give you a task, and start playing music, and then when the music stops, the task stops. It works more like a countdown watch. You may clap, you may sing raps, right? So mirroring movements, this is something which also can be done easily. For example, you can say with this, just do something with the sound. For example, I clap, you clap. I clap twice, students clap twice. So things like that. Or you can, for example, touch your nose or touch your ears. But again, if you do not explain this to your learners beforehand, remember, just imagine your learners are doing something, doing some work, and you stand and just touch your nose. And that's it. So they won't pay attention. But try to make this again with them. So they say, when so when the task is over, so I will touch my nose. If you see that I've touched my nose, so you need to stop talking secretly and touch your nose too. So, and then, so when people see that someone stopped talking, they start paying attention. So, and they start taking their notes. So, and the last one who've done this is a loser. So, and when you do this at the game, that works perfectly well. So with more adult learners, so what I do, so my colleagues call it this like a magic hand, because at my training sessions, I usually, especially when, for example, teachers who were present at GoCamp training sessions, so remember this, when I want to draw attention, I raise my hand. But again, so I explain it beforehand. So when I want to draw attention, I raise my hand and I show you that you need to stop speaking. Then the person who this is just mimics me, does the same, and gradually, like it takes, so if the auditory is very noisy, it takes up to 1 minute. So it's very quick. It takes up to 1 minute for 300 teachers. It works. So if that works for 300 teachers, I do believe that will work for 30 students as well. So mirror movement, again, clap and repeat. This is something I've already mentioned, like I clap, you clap, two claps, and that's things like that. So, and again, so the last slide with some strategies to help your students focus better. So like design hands-on lessons. So that means that you need to plan attention getters. You need to plan, and you need to think over that in, say, here in 10 minutes, they will get tired and distracted, and their attention span will be over. So you need, so, and the attention getters and thing I will show you afterwards. So I will show you one more resource and share the link to it so that you could do it with your learners as well. So you need to plan it, and you can actually connect it with the topic of the lesson for it to be like a flow, for it not to be something which is done like alien to the lesson. So you can get your learners up and get them moving. So I'll show you, there are stretching activities, things like that you can do with them. So so using visuals and allowing students regularly share what they think, things like that. So they all help to keep focus, so to keep your students focused once you have it. So this is like not for them not to have a chance to lose concentration. So you just so knowing your students, so you can understand when they are about to lose concentration. Say okay, so I use this activity for 5 minutes, and then I have to show a video for them, because if I continue doing like reading activities, I'll lose them. So, and knowing this, you just form, so you just create a lesson, so which takes into account that, so your knowledge about learners, about your own students, about your own learners. But anyway, no matter how hard you try to actually control this, so you need to give your students so-called brain breaks. So brain break is just how it sounds. So this is a break for a brain. So from whatever kids are focusing on. So you need to let them, have rest a little bit. So when I was studying at school, it was called Физкульт-хвилинка. So something like that you can organize for learners, but in English, it may be a kind of activity which will let your learners to get rest during a lesson. So, and you need to understand that you need to do brain break before fatigue, distraction, or lack of focus set in. So before they get distracted, before they lose focus, before they get tired. So for younger learners, it takes about 10-15 minutes of work, and then they lose concentration. So it means that every 10 minutes, you need to give them a break. So with high schoolers, like teenagers, older kids, so the attention span is longer. So it takes them 20-30 minutes before, before a break. So it means that you can do one break a lesson for older kids, and that'll be enough. So this is something which is not, so a brain break, this is something which does not, where they do not need to use their cognitive skills. It should be something more mechanical, like ENO switcher. So Dasha Artemyeva was showing this. I am not that keen on this activity. I do not know how to do this quickly. I'll show this slowly. This is when you take, for example, with one hand, you take your nose, and with another hand, you take an ear. And then you switch. So first you can do it slowly, and then quicker and quicker and quicker. So, and this is how you just, it's fun, so kids love it. And that's how you can actually get this, so help them just have a rest before continuing to work on. So some brain breakers are very active, some brain breakers are passive. So let me show you a site where you can have a lot of ideas for brain breakers. It's called Go Noodle. So these are again, so I'll show you categories. And I'm leaving it here in the chat box for you. Okay. So here is such a category as social emotional learning and mindfulness. So this is about mindful practices. So here you see manage stress and practice self-control. They have very similar activities here. Enhancing focus and practice self-control. Have some very similar activities. A lot of these activities involve breathing activities, and here quite a lot of them. So one day you can practice whale breath with them, another day you can practice bear breath with them. You also have like bee breath and snake breath here. So let's have a look at, for example, at the bear breath. But let me stop sharing. I'll share it once again, just a moment, because I need to share sound as well. Now I'll share again. Yeah. Now let's see how it works.
Bear breath.
Bears usually take 6 to 10 breaths per minute, but when they hibernate, they only take 1 breath every 45 seconds.
Whoa, that's a very little breath.
To get your bear breath on, sit down and get really comfortable. Inhale through your nose, pause, and count 1, 2, 3. And exhale again before counting 1, 2, 3. Try it.
Oh, these bear breaths are very relaxing.
Get comfy, close your eyes, or keep them open, and let's take 10 big bear breaths. Ready? In, 2, 3. Out, 2, 3. In, 2, 3. Out, 2, 3. In, 2, 3. Then out, 2, 3.
Okay, yeah, so this is something you can practice. So the whale breath is different, the bee breath is different, so you can practice various, and this is gamified, by the way. So when you do this, so you gain points for doing this, and I keep playing. Okay. And I gained a new level because while preparing for this, so I practiced a lot of these activities. Do the okay, so I won't do this anymore. Okay. Yeah. So again, so see, so you can find lots of various activities here. These are not only breathing activities. So you can see here is also breath activity. For example, brain exercise, like exercise for brain. This is about emotion. So remember we said that our emotions is also one of the sources of distraction. Whether we feel anger or anxiety, so it can distress us as well as mobile phones. And therefore, for example, one of the activities here which actually allows kids to deal with emotions. So they first they grow emotions. For example, they start with a weak emotion and grow it to something big, and they shrink it. They start from a big emotion and go down to a very neutral emotion. So in this way, it helps them to control it teaches them to control their emotions, and it calms them down greatly. So just try it, it works. You also have like stretching activities here, like shake it off. So you need to shake off water like a dog with the kids, so like to stretch and relax muscles, or you practice moonwalk with the kids. So and again, so they stretch and they move. So and they and again, you see here below also also appeared a bar, so which actually gamifies me using this resource. So it's also interesting. So in this point, from this point of view. Actually, that's actually all for now. And now, as promised, so we will share a form for, so which will help you to get a certificate for attending this lesson. So, Alona, will you help me and put the form into the chat box? Oh yeah, so the form is already in the chat box, so you can use it. So you can open it, fill it in. So, and we will get all the information needed to send a certificate for you. Don't forget about checking your email, whether it's correct or not. So in order us to send it, so to be able to send it to you. So complete it carefully, and also do not make mistakes in your names and surnames, because we will just copy paste and won't check, and we won't retype it, copy paste. So be very careful while Alona, probably you made it for Go Global. Please take the tick off. Okay, we'll take the tick off. No worries. We'll take the tick off. Okay, yeah. I see that it asks for. We'll take the tick off. Just wait 5 minutes and that will be solved. No worries. So again, I remind you that to learn more about what programs we offer and to apply and register for an extremely course, for an extremely interesting program. So when we will talk about teenagers, so go to training.gocamps.com.ua. So, and I will also share this with you here. Here to everyone. So you may go there, read about our programs more. So I will check what's the PDF there, because there was a schedule for the next training. But anyway, so the schedule is already ready. So if you want to learn more, you just may register, and Alona will send the training to you so that you had it. So no worries about that. And I hope I'll see you again in 2 weeks at our program, where we will talk about teenagers, our older age group. So thanks a lot. If you have any questions, so you may answer it, so I may answer them right away. So use your chat boxes, please. Alona, can you send the... Alona, can you send the form once again, please?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay, so if you have any questions, so you may ask. It seems like we are recording the webinar, right? I stop sharing. I'll be able to see it better. Yes, we are recording the webinar. Okay, so I see you do not have any questions, so probably I coped with my task very well, or not at all. So Alona has just sent the form once again. Thanks a lot for being with us this evening. I hope that the information was useful. Again, I'll repeat, this is something we already discussed when we were talking about young learners, and something when we were talking about teenagers. So now the next age group will be about teenagers or younger students. So, and please apply. I'll be happy to see you there. And thanks a lot to all of you. Thank you. Okay, so I hope that you all have already copied the link to the form. We'll wait a little bit longer. So while you are... Great. We'll repeat it several times again, probably. Марина, ви не можете розібратися чому? В чому не можете розібратися? Я зараз включу можливість говорити, добре? Ви зараз можете просто себе анм'ютити і задавати питання вголос. Doesn't matter, якою мовою ви заповнюєте форму, можете українською, можете англійською, як вам зручніше. Doesn't matter. Сертифікати в нас перевіряються на сайті. Ви зараз я можу поділитися знову ж таки. Just a moment. Всі сертифікати, які ми видаємо, можна перевірити на сайті. Зараз я покажу, де. Там, де сертифікат, картинка сертифікату. Є кнопочка «Перевірити сертифікат», яка надійшла вас на Google форму, де є всі сертифікати, які ми видавали, як тренінговий центр і як GoCamp. Окей, тут.
Любочка, у мене виникла проблема із оплатою. Це без зверху з тобою. Я вам писала.
Я знаю, Віка. Я вже Альоні сказала, вона вас завтра набере і допоможе.
Добре, дякую велике.
Я пам'ятаю, я сьогодні про вас говорила.
Дякую.
Окей. Якщо немає більше запитань, ще раз про всяк випадок скопіюю форму, якщо хтось в цих повідомленнях пропустив. Окей. Have a nice evening and hope to see you all soon. Окей? Bye-bye. Дякую всім, дякую. До побачення. Huge thank you to you. So, see you. Thank you. Have a nice evening. Just have a rest. You deserve it, okay? So have a rest now.